Good morning. My name is Mark Johnson. I'm on the faculty of the Grady College of Journalism and Mass Communication out at the University of Georgia. I came to join the Georgia Climate Project through the outreach of a couple of my colleagues, Dr. Tish Yeager and Dr. Marshall Shepard, and it's been a real pleasure to get to work with Daniel over the last couple of years. One of the things that I've been charged with is helping to tell the story of the impacts, science, and solutions of climate change on the state of Georgia. And part of that has been working with some professional journalists to tell stories, which we're going to show you one of those here in a moment, but also working with students at various universities across the state. And so I've been visiting classrooms and getting students engaged in the process of telling stories about climate change and how it's impacting the state, what's the science behind it, as well as what are some of the possible solutions. And on the Georgia Climate Project website in the coming months, we'll start releasing some of those stories. But what I really want to do is introduce Michael Schwarz. Michael is a journalist based here in Atlanta. I've known him for many years, and when we decided we wanted to bring some professionals into the fold, he was the first person that we reached out to. And I'm going to have him talk a little bit about the story that he worked on this past summer. Michael?
Thank you, Mark, and good morning, everybody. We all know that Georgia is the peach state, correct? Right? But most of us know that South Carolina actually produces more peaches than Georgia, correct? And if we were to be agriculturally accurate, we actually would be known as the broiler state. But a defeathered chicken carcass is probably not as attractive as a peach. And of course, everybody here on a regular basis reads the USDA Census of Agriculture every year when it comes out, correct? Well, if you read it last year, you might have been surprised to see that Georgia now has more blueberry farms than any other state in the country. You did not know that, did you? So when we were tasked with telling the story of how climate change is affecting agriculture in Georgia, we thought we might take a look at blueberry farmers. Now, in the beginning, when we were trying to figure out how we were going to find blueberry farmers, we reached out to some people in the ag community, and they said, "Oh, you want to talk to farmers about climate change? Well, good luck with that." So that was a surprise to me because I didn't really understand how deep the skepticism was in the ag community about man-made climate change. And also I was warned that post-hurricane, was it Michael, the most recent one? There have been a lot of stories in the media that the farmers felt cast them in a very bad light. So they felt that they had been burned and were very leery of speaking about climate change to anyone. So as we began to reach out to try to find a farmer, we found that those warnings were actually very true. After weeks and weeks of unreturned phone calls and unreturned emails, we finally found a farmer in Waynesboro, Georgia, and I'm going to let him tell you the story of how climate change is affecting his crop and his future. But he was willing to talk to me about his farm. He was very happy to do that. And eventually, when we got around to talking about man-made climate change and I asked him what his thoughts were, he said, "Well, if I gave you my thoughts, it would just be my opinion. But here's what's happening." And then he began to reel off statistics that pretty much showed how climate change was negatively affecting his crop. And what was important to us in creating this story was doing it respectfully. It actually is not a story created for us who already believe in man-made climate change. It's a story for people who may be skeptical. So we didn't want to turn them off. We didn't want to do it disrespectfully. And we wanted to couch it in a larger story. So it's the story of an 8th generation Georgia farmer who is trying to keep his farm alive and hopefully hand it down to his daughter, who will be the 9th generation. So I hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much.